Welcome to Studio 889. I'm Mo Wilks. Although 24/7, 365, we're inside of February, which means we're inside of Black History Month. Happy Black History Month 2026. The worlds of R&B plus hip hop owe a lot to the next artist I'm about to chop it up with. He's a founding member of a soulful jazz fusion funk band, an R&B band formed in the 1970s, over 50 years ago, by a legendary trumpet player, Dr. Donald Byrd at Howard University. Big up to HU. The band, the Blackbyrds, touches down in Boston Friday, February 20th, 7:30 p.m. at City Winery, 80 Beverly Street in Boston. Boston's going to get a special treat next week. Jazz funk, which was a descending building block for hip hop. So welcome to Studio 889. Founding Blackbyrds member, drummer Keith Killgo. How are you?
God, how are you? Nice to be here, man. It's a cold, but it's okay. It's a good thing.
Yeah, that's time of year for us. I mean,
Yeah,
we've gotten
yeah.
used to it. Some of us. I mean, I've lived here all my life, and I still haven't
Wow.
gotten used to it, man.
Right. If I don't have to shovel snow, I'm okay.
See, next I have a whole driveway I can actually have you practice and get your,
Right,
get your skills up
right.
with. But for those people who don't know, give some background to the audience. How did Keith Killgo get inspired to jump into the mysterious vibes of music? I mean, who were your inspirations in addition to Dr. Bird?
Oh well, my dad, Harry Kilgo, played with a group called the JFK Quintet,
Oh,
which had Andrew White, Walter Booker, who later played with Cannonball Adderley, and they were on Riverside Records. Oddly enough, that our first record on Fantasy was co-produced by Orrin Keepnews, who was the producer on my father's record,
oh.
the JFK Quintet.
So you kind of kept it in the family. That's nice.
Yeah, yeah. And so I kind of come from a musical family. My aunt Shirley Berkeley, God bless her, she's 97.
Wow.
She was James Cleveland's music director for many, many, many years. And so we did stuff. My father would have rehearsals in the basement. I'd go in after they left and start playing on the drums and listening to, Art Blakey and Philly Joe Jones
Oh,
and all that kind of stuff. And there was a club here in Washington, D.C. called the Bohemian Caverns. And it housed, I mean, you'd go see Miles Davis, Shirley Horn, Coltrane, you name it, Stanley Turrentine, Lee Morgan, on and on and on and on. And so the JFK worked there usually on the weekends, matinees, and I would always go down and hang out with the guys. Speaking of Roberta Flack was my piano teacher.
yes, because she went to Howard. Yes.
Yeah, she taught public school for a long time
Yes.
in DC, and then but I used to study with her on the weekends, and et cetera. So I mean, music was in my house all weekend. They would my dad's band would rehearse, and then when I got of age to start playing myself, because I started, really, just listening and going down to and playing on Mickey Newman's drums that they left
Mm.
in the basement. And so, one day Dad said, "Well, he can almost keep a beat."
Almost. I like that.
Yeah, yeah. My father was
He's not going to give you just
he
that
wasn't
much
giving me
credit. He's going to
that.
give you
Yeah,
some, but like, okay,
yeah,
don't get you give
yeah,
a swole head up. Okay.
yeah, yeah. It wasn't there. And so he eventually got me a set of drums, and I started, in high school talent shows. That's where I met Joe and Orville.
Mm.
And then they went to Roosevelt High School. I went to Calvin Coolidge. Calvin Coolidge is the best. Yeah, that's right. Anyway,
Sounds like some rivalry thing right there. You
yeah,
just
some
mentioned that I don't even know
rivalry.
about.
Yeah, right. So anyway, we had, little talent shows and we were playing around, which was really the essence of the beginning of the Blackbyrds. We didn't have any idea at that time. We were just playing little, outdoor things or things during the summer. And so, I got a chance as a young musician to set in with Miles Davis, to set in
Mm.
with Art Blakey's band with McCoy Tyner and
Wow.
Junie Booth, wonderful bassist from Buffalo. It's gone on, and Bill Hartman and Slide Hampton. So I was exposed to, the cats.
Right away. Yeah, right at a
You
young
know,
age.
yeah, at a young age, and and I didn't know anything, so I was too numb to be. I wasn't scared.
You were
It's
immersed
like,
in it so much you really didn't have any other, kind of
yeah,
choice on
yeah,
some level.
yeah. I wasn't, and my dad would leave me. He'd go and do run errands, leave me at the caverns, and I've watched everybody play.
Wow.
So I got a chance to sit in with Miles, with Tony Williams, Herbie, Wayne Shorter, and because Ron Carter didn't really go on the road with him. Yeah, Richards, yeah, basically, I remember
How
his
old
name.
were you at that time?
I was about 10.
You said you sat in with him, like as in a session, you were playing drums with Miles Davis at
Oh
10
yeah,
years old.
yeah.
What is it about drummers that doing things at such a young age, that they pick it up? I mean, is it just
I
instinctive? What
mean,
is that?
I just, I played piano first, and which I'm glad I
Percussion.
did. Yeah, it's a percussion instrument anyway.
Hmm.
And so I listened to a lot of records and I wanted to learn the chords, and I was just excited, man. It was like, what are these cats playing? And then when you go hear Tony, man, I'll be up all night. My parents said, "Well, you go to bed, boy. You down there banging them drums." You know, I'm trying to, like, how's he doing this with the left foot? So I was just intrigued by the
Right.
skill level of these musicians. And then, he took me to the Howard Theater to
Hmm.
see, of
Famous.
all people, James Brown and Miles
Now,
Davis.
was Clyde Stubblefield doing his thing with him at the time?
Clyde Stubblefield was doing
Okay.
his thing. He had two drummers. One had a red
Yes.
set, one had a blue set. And Maceo, and I don't know who else
Fred
was.
Wesley might have been there.
Yeah, yeah. That was back in the day.
Hmm.
And the Miles set was Coltrane and Cannonball Adderley, and Red Garland, and Jimmy Cobb. And Paul Chambers. So I got to see the funk and the
Side of it
jazz,
and the jazz end of it.
yeah, and end of it, and I loved it all.
Oh man, I could just go on and on just about that in itself. I'm just like still blown away. 10 years old. You didn't have any fear because you didn't know not to have any fear. That's
No,
interesting.
no.
Wow, chopping it up with Keith Killgo of the Blackbyrds, who's going to be in town Friday, February 20th, 7:30, over at City Winery. Now, yeah,
Yes.
let me get my questions back because you just kind of like took me on a journey.
Uh,
For those who don't necessarily, did I already ask? Maybe I didn't. Who was Donald Byrd? For those who might not be aware of his impact on soulful jazz infusion of R&B.
well, Donald was always an experimenter. If you listen throughout his career, I mean, I first really heard him on the Art Blakey band, with
Hmm.
Hank Mobley, and just killer, man, just cat. But he always wanted something else.
Hmm.
He wasn't just satisfied with just doing the kind of the bebop thing.
Hmm.
And I didn't know at the time that he and my dad were already friends, but I had no idea. Because I was too, again, I was in the stratosphere. And so he was a guy who was very, like, Donald Byrd had like 7 master's degrees. I mean, he was a prolific writer. He was a collector of, classic art. I mean, he was just a well-rounded guy. And meeting him, the way I met him at a Left Bank Jazz Society thing in Baltimore. Used to be a Sunday thing where cats would come out, bands would come out and play,
Hmm.
and he was in a band with legendary Keita Betts on bass to play, Ella Fitzgerald, Reuben Brown. I mean, just killer guys. And I was in a band with my dad. And I just, he said, "Well, you want to meet him? Go to meet him." So I went and said, "Hey, how are you?"
Once again, just like no fear. It's like, okay, these are people we talk to. That's it.
Yeah, he said, "So how come you not at Howard?" I said, "Okay, well, can we go now? I'll be there." And so from that meeting, I was in Peoria, Illinois, and school, Bradley University. I was up there. I don't know why I went there, but I did. It was fun. Yeah, it
Interesting.
was outside of Chicago,
Hmm.
you know. And so I was up there for 2 years, and Kevin and I had become friends over the summer. Kevin Tony, who came from Detroit, And so he said, "Man, Bird is getting ready to get rid of the old cats because what Donald had, he had the Howard University Jazz Ensemble,
Mm-hmm.
which at one point was Barney Perry, who wrote Walking in Rhythm,
Mm.
Kevin Tony keyboards, Alan Barnes saxophone,
Mm-hmm.
and then he had a brother named Roland Wilson on bass,
Mm-hmm.
Joe Chambers on drums, Billy Harper on saxophone,
Wow.
and percussionist Ray Armando. And just, the young guys and the old guys, it just was, yeah, it didn't happen. So he
Didn't.
fired all the old, yeah,
Okay.
he fired all the old guys.
Oh
And
man.
then he called me and said, "Hey man, we got a gig." It was almost like the Bootsy story.
Yeah, James Brown. I mean, because I mean, well, that was
Yeah,
more along the lines of kind of like a money thing. But yeah, he just
yeah,
James got rid of all those cats and he just scooped them brothers from
yeah,
Ohio and like
yeah. He said, "Hey man," he said, "So we got, and so we gonna play it with James Brown." He says, "When tonight?" So it's like
wow.
what? So it was kind of like
Man.
that. And so we went out, and in those days, you would play at a club like we played in Boston at the Jazz Workshop in the
Mm-hmm.
Paul
Paul
Small.
Small.
But
Yep.
well, we graduated from the Paul Small to the Jazz, I mean, from the Jazz Workshop to the Paul Small.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody in Boston has a recording of some of the stuff that we did there.
Really?
Yeah, because Donald's son, Tucson, who's my really good friend, he went to UMass and played basketball and blah 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 blah.
Oh.
So yeah. So anyway, long short, Bird was always looking for something. So he there was a record that he recorded called Ethiopian Nights, and on that record you could kind of hear he was searching for something, and
Mm-hmm.
when it hadn't all kind of come together yet,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't think he had the personnel
Right.
to pull it off, much like a football team, much like a basketball team,
Don't remind us, man. We just got off the losing a Super Bowl. Don't remind us
Yeah,
about
yeah,
teams
I
that
understand.
can't put
I
it together.
understand. I know. I understand. And so um Larry and Fonz Mizell, who
Hmm.
also were Howard
Yes.
University graduates, had they had already been out in LA and they were producing. So they had produced this record, and this record originally was written for Lee Morgan.
Oh.
Yes, and Lee Morgan got killed in New York. Um, and so all the tracks and everything was already done,
Hmm.
except for they hadn't put Harvey Mason on it yet,
Yep. Very
and
famous.
they didn't have a soloist. They said, "Well, who's a great soloist?" Of course, Donald Byrd.
Bird on
And
the
so
jumper. Yeah.
yeah, they put him on there. Harvey went with a click track, man, went there and crushed everything. You know, uh, the rest was history. I mean, because Blackbird was probably one of the largest selling jazz, funk fusion kind of records to ever, land.
Hmm.
And so from there was born the Blackbirds.
Wow.
Yeah,
Just from
yeah,
that alone.
yeah,
Salute and shout out to Donald Byrd. And so
yeah,
the members of the Blackbyrds, including, of course, you as a founding member, Keith Killgo,
mhm,
bassist Joe Hall. Now, you said
yeah.
mentioned Ken Tony, but his daughter, Dominique Tony, is one of she's also in the group with you?
Yeah, she is. Dominique, she won't be on this tour,
Oh,
but we have a sub for her, but she'll be, coming in forthcoming next coming engagements. But we have Paul Spires, who is actually one of my high school students.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you're carrying it forward. I like that.
Roberto Vieta, he's a young man who's studying at Peabody. He's getting his master's degree in composition. Then you have Thad Wilson, arranger,
On
trumpet
trumpet,
player.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, and Marshall Keys, who's been in and out of this band for many, many years,
Saxophone, yeah.
down saxophone, and then Charles Wright on guitar, and Sean Anthony on percussion, and we're gonna have a young lady named Silva Logan who's gonna be singing. She used to sing with Chic.
Ooh,
Mhm.
okay. Has the mission of the Blackbyrds always been to kind of like, fuse music and education?
That's all I've ever done. I teach high school. That's how crazy I
God
am.
bless you. I work at a college, so I mean, I can
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah, yeah, I'm moving on eventually, but I've been teaching for 37 years. I've been in education, a bachelor's degree in jazz studies, a master's degree in professional counseling, and I've been able to fuse the two. because I'm teaching in underserved communities, where practicing is not an option because
Mm,
they live in apartments,
mm.
trying to create music programs with no funding. Because the music department never gets, we're not in the budget, put it that way. Um, and so I've been able to inspire some young people to go out and find out that this is a living. I also teach intellectual properties, copyright law,
Oh, wow.
uh, yeah, royalties, all the stuff that people are making money on that don't play music.
Mm, mm,
you
mm. You're
know,
right.
and so and it's I don't want them to go to college and just figure this out. They need to know this before they walk out those high school doors. And so that's what I've been doing. That's been my mission, is to like bring up the awareness. And there's so many talented young people in the community. They just don't know what to do with it,
With that
or
energy,
how,
yeah.
yeah, how to market it without getting ripped off, without signing some crazy contract, or, you know, just getting in all these things. But music in itself has saved a lot of these children's lives.
True. I mean, I look at the bridge that hip hop has done, and it's like using a lot of your music as foundational kind of
Mhm.
rhythm. Now, do you introduce yourself to young people through like, hey, you might not know the Blackbyrds, but you might know, Stetson Sonic who's used, use your sample, or you might use Rakim to kind of make the introduction, and then their eyes light up. Oh, that's you.
Hmm. No, what they do is besides calling me old and bald, I get all of
Yeah, I got nothing up here either, brother.
I
So,
get all that. I get all of that. I just say Google me,
oh, okay.
okay? And when they Google me, they're like, "Oh my God, what? Oh, can I have $1?" You know?
Yeah. Yeah, because you guys have been, I mean, especially like to the hip hop world, you are
Mhm.
like, you and James Brown, James Brown has got like samples up, but y'all are not
Yeah.
really far behind,
No,
I mean,
no,
whether it's
I think,
Rakim,
and I,
Tupac, De La, you are there.
yeah, and just recently, Jeezy just sampled Rock Creek Park.
Yeah.
Still snowing. So I mean, you know, I like it. I love it. I just have to go in and find out where is the money at.
Yeah, the sampling royalty. Yeah, because I always want to ask artists like yourself. I mean, they definitely, like the lyric goes, from I think it was Stetsasonic. James Brown was old until Eric and Rakim came out with "I Got Soul." So it's prolonging your music. But do you guys get
Yeah.
something on the back end in terms of not just a hey, congratulations, but kind of like a compensation thank you too?
Yeah, well, that's the whole part about understanding this business,
Yes,
and it is two things: it's music and business,
that's true.
and
Rhythm and band.
they both and they're both full-time jobs, So we have, in the process of gathering all of these samples,
Hmm.
and where they go, and our affiliates with ASCAP, BMI, et cetera, and I have a really good attorney, who's been out, hunting these things down. So things are shaping up. But the issue is, normally what happens by the time you become aware that this is happening, it's already happened.
It's too late. It's already been sampled. It's already on to the next one. Okay.
Yeah, and so we come out of kind of the Stone Age. What is that? But I know Queen Latifah,
Yeah.
did that. Wiz Khalifa, his first
Yeah.
hit was My Tune, Mysterious Vibes. You
Wow.
know, and so on and so forth. So there are conversations coming in. Yes, there are, but not necessarily all of them. There's so many. So we're in the process, of gathering all this information so that everybody gets their share
Yes.
of what's supposed to happen. Because Barney Perry, who wrote Walking in Rhythm, Kevin Tony's family, with Dominique, everybody, Alan Barnes, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what we've been doing. But I love teaching it
Hmm.
because I become, I learn, the more I study and research, the more I learn,
True.
So the more I can, share with my students.
Very nice. Talking with Keith Killgo, drummer of the Blackbyrds. They're going to be in town February 20th. Now, you mentioned hits like Walking in Rhythm, which was nominated for a Grammy. Also, Unfinished Business was nominated for Best R&B Instrumental Performance at the 20th Grammys back in 1977, 78. Do you... I mean, those definitely happened like almost 50 years ago. You're still making music today, correct?
Yes. Oh, and we're still playing. The thing is that between Donald's music,
Mm-hmm.
which includes the Mizell brothers, which
Yes.
also
Mm-hmm.
includes Isaac Hayes,
Wow.
which yeah, because we're gonna do a tune that they did on his in one of Donald's albums that Isaac Hayes produced. Love Has Come Around. All those tunes were produced by
I
Isaac
love
Hayes.
that song.
Yeah, and Feel Like Loving You Today. And so we're gonna do that between our music, Bird's music, and we're on a lot of those songs that they don't put our names on there,
No.
but we were playing on them. That's the way of the world, that kind of thing. And the Mizelles, we have about 250 songs in our repertoire.
Wow. Wow.
So
That's a
we
lot of songs. I know
yeah,
you're not playing them all.
no, no, no.
We'd be there all week.
No, yeah, it'd be a week of yes. But what I try to do is pick songs out that people have requested that we've never played.
Mm.
In our travels. Oh, what is this? This one lady was trying to beat me. I could not remember what the song was, and she was like, it's it's something dumb, dumb. I'm like, so I finally kind of figured out what it was, and it was
Mhm.
"Loving You Today,"
Oh.
and so we're gonna do some of that stuff. I produced a Blackbird record in 2012, or released in 2012, called "Gotta Fly," and we did a tribute on there to who was my good friend Donny Hathaway.
Oh, please talk about Donny
Yeah,
Hathaway. Yes.
yeah, because Roberta Flack, Donny. I mean, I was in all of that, and so someday we'll be all someday we'll all be free.
Mm.
I did an arrangement of that as well. So we play our hits, and we're remixing some of the stuff that we're doing, and just having fun. At this point in time in my career, I just want to have some fun.
Nothing wrong with having fun. Definitely, especially if you're going to be on stage and playing some music.
Yeah.
You mentioned some songs that some obscure songs that some fans ask for. Are there like songs that you have to make sure you play or you can't get off the stage?
Exactly. Do it fluid, walking
Oh,
in rhythm, happy
okay.
music, rockery part.
Oh man.
you know, and we've created some nice arrangements and different kind of approaches to those songs as well. But I mean, it's still fresh to me
Mm,
because there's just an energy when you're there that just is that's what it is, and I just want to be able to play better and sing better, and and I never like think I'd ever got it right,
mm.
because you never do, there's always something you can fix, and that's the kind of artist I am.
Part of the jazz, part of the uniqueness of the Blackbyrds, whether you were with Donald by yourselves, you mixed, you obviously the instrumentation, but there was definitely parts of that you sang. Like,
Yes.
so uh, who did you pick for the most part? Like, who's all right? Who's going to sing on this when we know who's going to be playing on this? How did you choose the singer?
Well, as my father called it, we are all pedestrian vocalists, and so
I wish I could have met your day. He sounds like he's.
yeah, man, he was a character. So like, do it fluid. For instance, Bird called me up on the phone and said, "Hey, man, go on the phone."
That's what he's
That's it.
singing to you.
Yeah, and he's singing me the bass line to the song. I'm like, okay, so what am I supposed to do with this? So then we get in the studio. We flew out to Berkeley to record at Fantasy,
Mhm.
and most of the cats had never even been on an airplane.
Mm,
And we standing in California, man, with corduroys on and hush puppies.
a little bit warm.
we, we were definitely from somewhere else,
Yes.
we weren't from California, and so we kind of learned this on the run. He said, "Hey, man, you want to sing this song?" Yeah, again, I've never been scared, you know. And so, yeah, it ain't singing, but it is what it's reciting the poetry, and it was fun. And then I got to do Cornbread Earl and Me,
Yes, the soundtrack. How was that?
yeah, that was wonderful. We recorded most of it in New York, and we never saw the movie. We
Oh no.
didn't. No, we didn't see it till it all came out. But I sang the theme song to that, and as our voices began to develop more,
More, yep.
get better, we sang as group, a lot of group stuff. Then moving later on in the years, I started incorporating lead singers. So we had James Garrett and like I say, Paul Spires and Dominique, and those are some of the lead singers that we utilize today. So I've tried to grow it, as well, because a lot of the stuff that we did, we'd cut the tracks and they sent us home,
Wow.
and yeah, and then oh wow, this is the record. Oh wow, we didn't know this guy was on here, and someone just informed me that Mary Clayton is still with us,
Mm.
and that's who sang all the oohs and ahs on Rock Creek Park,
No way.
and Happy Music. Yeah,
Really? I didn't know that. Now I do. Huh.
yes,
I love Rock Creek Park. I just love that bass line. Dum, dum, dum,
Yeah,
dum,
yeah,
dum, dum.
and we created that in Camden, New Jersey at a sound check. Well, it wasn't a sound check because Donna would make us all go to the gigs like hours. They hadn't even cleaned up the room. The night before, there was the Commodores and some other people. And so he just said, well, you got to go there. So we just sat around and stood fooling around, and we came up with Rock Creek Park and Happy Music in Camden, New Jersey.
Who was the person that came up with the lead guitar lick that goes into it before you guys start singing?
That was Orville.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
that was some of his James Brown
Because it
influence.
sounds like that. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
I
And I
love
came up
that.
with the hook, and Joe came up with this, and Kevin came and do the line. So it was a true collaboration.
Sounds like you guys had like a little family that you were traveling with. Talking with
Yeah.
Keith Killgo, drummer for the Blackbyrds. I only got a couple more. You've worked with people like Herbie Hancock.
Hmm.
And I would be remiss if I didn't, because I actually just recently saw him over at the Box Center. 85 years old, still doing his thing, still
Yes.
just amazing. It's just the youthful energy that the music brings. What was it like to work with him, if you could just share a quick story?
Herbie was like the first Blackbird because he was Donald's protege.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he and Donald, he's the reason. Donald is the reason he got a contract on Blue Note Records. You
Really?
know, yeah, that was his mentor.
I didn't know that.
And so I've known Herbie, since I was 10 when I met him, with Miles, and so we've always kind of stayed in touch. We had a chance to hang out with him almost 10 years ago at Shane Park in Detroit.
Hmm.
We sat back in the dressing room and just reminisce of
Oh,
all.
man.
I mean, we used to play a club called the Burning Spear. When it was in Chicago, Detroit, or something. You'd play in a club, man, 3 weeks. You know,
You'd
yeah,
play for 3 weeks?
yeah. I mean, those gigs were 2 to 3 weeks. Like we played in Detroit or Chicago or Philadelphia, and we played at the Hippodrome
Oh, wow.
and all those different places. The Bijou, and yeah, you'd play there for 2 weeks. Which was really cool. It was really cool because what happens there, you get to practice every day.
True.
You get up in the morning, do whatever you got to do, man. Next thing you know, you're in the club. Joe and I would go to the club, like we played at the Roxy in LA. We would go to the club like about 10 o'clock in the morning and practice.
That you got a built-in practice space. You don't even have to worry about paying for and renting. It's right there because
Yeah,
it's part of your
yeah.
gig.
Finding the gig, but it also fine-tuned what we were trying to do,
Mm.
and it just helped develop your chops more.
Was there any place that you've ever played, maybe, well, inside or outside the U.S. specifically, that you found that, wow, they really vibe to the Blackbirds? I didn't think that they would actually get this stuff here.
Well, we played in London a lot.
Hmm.
We played at a church 2 years ago called Union Chapel, and it's this like 800-year-old church in England,
Wow.
and it was just amazing. I mean, and they had one of the leading chefs schools in this church, and he came down and catered all our food. It was incredible.
Mm.
It was sold out, but what I did is I hired four string players because a lot of my music has strings on it.
They do.
And I we really never ever played with strings. I mean, we played with the Detroit Symphony Orchestra many years ago, but it wasn't these arrangements and stuff. And so these young ladies, I mean, 30 something, and I sent them the music and the MP3s or whatever. Man, they came in there and just crushed this stuff. It's like,
Mm,
what? So we'd never really heard it with the strings,
like that.
and these ladies like they on the real, Medora was one of them, was the lead, and so that was probably one of the most exciting gigs we really had,
Mhm.
because I mean it was sold out, 800 seat, 1,000
Wow.
seat, whatever, and they were into every movement that we made. So that was one of the really highlights of this last past couple of years. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I can't promise 800 people are going to be in City Winery,
Yeah.
but I mean, you'll take about
No.
400 or 500. I think that actually is a doable thing. So if you haven't already, taken the time, make sure you check out the Blackbyrds February 20th. That's a Friday, 7:30 on the main stage at City Winery. It's going to be off the chain. You will definitely see me in there standing up, probably giving a couple of ovations to you.
Oh, I'm glad to meet you. Glad to see you. Yeah, we do. On Facebook. Our website is www.blackbirdmusic.com, so you can always go in and log on there and see what's going on. And hey, I'm just enjoying life at this point.
Good. Nothing wrong with that. I hope you continue to
Yeah.
bring the art and the life and the connection with the young people and just, bring that joy that we definitely need at this time, whether it's freezing cold with snow. We need some of that warmth that your music brings to help melt our hearts and also get it ready to go outside and just do some more shoveling. Like I said, I got an extra shovel, brother. If you need it, I can definitely let you use it if you want.
Yeah, my muscles are getting big.
You mean all that drumming? You must have some kind of dexterity with a shovel. Come on. Oh man, let me just close out by saying, in a world where intelligence, especially some of today's new art, is not official. I mean, that's artificial, to quote De La Soul. I'm so appreciating. It's refreshing, to have the opportunity to hear real, genuine band, genuine instrumentation, which has lasted the test of 50 plus years, man. It's half a century, bringing authentic instrumentation and the real jazzy funk to people's ears. So I can't wait till next Friday to hear you, the history, the tradition. And once again, you mentioned you can go to blackbirdsmusic.com. Thank you so much, Keith. I really appreciate you just joining us inside Studio
No, thank
889.
you. Thank you. I totally appreciate it.
Cool, man. Appreciate him. So once again, you're going to see a founding member of an iconic group. You don't want to miss out on this. Rain, shine, rain, sleet, snow. Just make sure you're in the house, being there, just cheering them on and hearing some good music. So,
All righty.
so from
Great.
studio,
Say great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So from Studio 889, I'm Mo Wilks. Thank you very much. Peace. Have yourself an amazing February Black History Month. Put some Blackbirds into your Black history as well.
Amen. Thank you, Mo.